And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13. And the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the sole of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breasts of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. Verse 21, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, the two thirds that are going to pass in this destruction, the two-thirds are going to come back through the one-third that make it. The Lord said, two-thirds shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, all right, morning news and prophecy, going into the accuser of the brethren, all right, and more ills for Babylon, all right, the accuser of the brethren and more ills for Babylon, because as the scriptures say, all right, when we go here, because as we already know, all right, the devil, that's why the scriptures put us on game, about everything that the devil, was getting ready to do. And we know one of the things that he's going to do, before it's all said and done, is he's going to accuse the brethren. He's going to demonize the name of Yahweh Shai. He's going to demonize the ministry, the prophets, okay, the doctrine, and make it to be something evil. All right, make it to be something, as if we're, a physical threat, to society, the same way that he does. All right, these T groups, in what he called the Middle East. Okay, he's going to make it seem as if we're cut of their cloth. As if we're some type of Taliban. Okay, ISIS. He's gonna put us in there. He's gonna lump us in that same category, man. And he's doing it now. And there's certain news that come out, certain things that have been happening. As we keep receipts of these things. Okay, as the scriptures say, all right, that we should be what on our watch. Now, when you go, let's go here to Revelation 12 and 10. It says, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and the strength and the kingdom of our power." Because we're in the time where Yahweh Shai is going to usher in a righteous kingdom. The Heavenly Father, is causing all these things to happen. All right, as He's setting the stage to send Yahweh Shai back. He's prepping the world for a global, all right, collapse. These elites in their mind, they think that they're closer to, their new world order, but they're just closer to their end and the second coming of Yahweh Shai, which is the end of their kingdom. Okay, so the Lord has these things in motion, all right, for the sake of a righteous kingdom under Yahweh Shai being established in the earth. The earth is getting ready to go back to its righteous rulership, man. The righteous rulers, which is Yahweh Shai, okay, and the hopeful elect, beginning with the first fruits, those 144,000, okay, those 12,000 men of each tribe out of Israel. It says, "In the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night." So the accuser of our brethren is getting ready to be cast down, and that's Esau. Okay, because his system, Edomite supremacy, is based on him constantly accusing, all right, the tribes. And through social engineering, he has created, young niggas and young hoes and, welfare queens, and he's created these things, and he always has something to point the finger at, especially when the pressure get hot on him. When the pressure get tough on him, he always has a group of niggas, okay, and nigga women he can point to as a problem. Okay, but see, that's not going to get him out of his situation. Just like, our people that continue to follow this man, after the Lord has raised up the prophets, to warn, okay, and teach. You see, teach repentance, teach how shall warn us, to warn about Esau, Edom, to identify the enemy and everything that he's up to. And as our people still continue, well, they can't, get off by pointing the finger at Esau. And Esau ain't gonna get off by pointing the finger at them. They're both guilty. Okay? But just want to focus on Esau because right now he's in the spirit of bringing, of being this accuser, okay, because he has a lot going on. All right? And this devil, what the thing that he despised the most is his word going forth. Okay? Because through this word, he's being removed from power. Okay, through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Shai. And the Lord just he's using the prophets as vessels for this word to go forth and it's bringing this man down. Okay, he's being consumed by the mouth of the prophets, man, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Shai, man. You know? So you go into this word accuser and we'll get it in the Google as well. All right. When you go into this word accuser in the Greek, okay, you go to the word accuser, okay, and you go into the Greek word
Strong's G 2723. Categareo.
category.
Categareo.
All right, what you can tell, it can go into it's similar to what category, okay, and we know the devil. All right, he wants to put us in the category, as the scriptures say, we should be numbered amongst the transgressors. And he wants to make it seem like we're just some seditious, okay, rebels. These violent, extremists. He gonna throw all these titles. Okay, he wants to put us in a category, man. That's why he has this thing called Black Identity Extremists. We're extreme for speaking the truth, for going into the Bibles and breaking down precepts and telling the truth about who we are. Now we in the category as extremists or radical, okay, or seditious, okay. You see, this is what the devil is getting ready to do. All right. It says to charge someone with some offense. When you go to the Strongs, it says what? To charge someone with some offense, man. Okay. And we know that this is what the devil is getting ready to do. And that's pretty much what it says in the Google. So, that's the point, dealing with that. Okay. And the scripture said that this man would do this towards his end. Okay. Because see, Esau's getting desperate out here, man. And it's tacky, the way he's going about it. Okay, but as the scriptures say, let's go here. All right, real quick. We always get it 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. And the devil he doesn't have many moves left. Okay, so he gonna have to come on with his plan. All right, because the devil he doesn't have many moves left on the board. Okay, it says when you go to 2 Corinthians 2 and 11 says so that Satan will now not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes, man. And as the Lord has put the spirit on us, all right, to be a watchman. Okay, you get familiar with the devil's patterns, man. And it get to the point to where you can pretty much tell where he going with it next. Okay, he got certain things that he's doing, and you can tell where he's finna go with it. Okay, because he does the same thing. Because he banks on people, all right, being simple. To the point that the devil he doesn't put much effort, okay, into these schemes as he once did because he banks on people being simple. And the devil got a lot going on. He got so much going on at one time, man, that he really can't be invested, in one scheme like that, man, because he got so much going on at the same time because he has a hell of a task, to try to pull off, man. And that's why the scriptures tell us, okay, in these days, okay, let's go here to Ephesians. All right. Let's go here to the book of Ephesians. And it's a beautiful times, man, to see the devil. So like it. It's a beautiful time to see the devil, in scramble mode, you know. So like so when you go here to the book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15, it says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, man. So when the time, because so much is happening, we have to be circumspect, and we stick close to the scripts because there's a lot of misinformation going out. There's a lot of disinformation, misinformation. There's a lot of things that really don't matter that's going out. Everybody trying to be a reporter and an analyst now. So there's a lot going out. Okay, so we have to be circumspect, and as we be circumspect, we got to filter the information that we're intaking, man. And we got to filter everything through the scriptures, man. And if it doesn't concern the scripture, then we can throw it out. So we don't just be overwhelmed with junk information. But we're circumspect with what's happening around us, man, domestically, all right, internationally, locally or whatever, man. We're just circumspect. These are times to be circumspect, as the scriptures say. Okay, but it's wise, man. Because we have this wisdom, and this wisdom is guiding us, man. So if you look out and see what times we in, we should modify behavior according to these times. Okay, when you go to this word, all right, circumspect. All right, see then that you walk circumspectly, and you go to the word circumspect.
Strong's G 199. Akribos.
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 All right, which goes into exactly, accurately, or diligently. Because this is a time now. They got to comb through this information that's coming out. Hey, you see, diligently, be on our watch, man. And accurately report what's going on according to the scripture, and also making sure our information is on point. Okay, so this is the time to be circumspect, man. As the Lord has set us up to be watchmen, man, to be diligent. All right, to be on point. To be precise. Okay, and to be accurate, man. Okay, so as we hear things, see things, man. Okay, well, we report these things according to the scriptures. You see, because the prophecy is is how we measure where we at. Okay, and the way things are going, this war has jumped off. Okay, there's these talks of energy crisis, lockdowns. The devil, he's getting ready to go with his move. Certain other events. He's setting it up to where, he's going to do something. He's going to do something here. He got to do something, man. He got to do something here in America, man. This devil he got to pull the rabbit out the hat, man. And really move the needle with his agenda. Okay, it says, redeeming the time, verse 16, because the days are evil. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Okay, understanding what the will of the Lord. Okay, because we have to understand prophecy is the will of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai that's happening in the earth. We speak in future tense. When we speak in prophecy, we're speaking future tense of the Lord's will playing out in the earth. This is his will. Prophecy is not speculation. Prophecy is the Lord's will that's going to happen. So we understand these things got to happen. The economy got to collapse. This man has to, bring civil unrest. Okay, Jacob's trouble. These things have to happen. Okay, the MOTB being made mandatory has to happen, man. And when these things happen, man, it's going to open the door for this war to go nuclear, man. Okay? Verse 18 says, and be not drunk with wine wherein is excess, but be filled with the spirit. Okay? So we in the time to be in the spirit, man. Okay, to be tapped into spiritual things, man. It's a lot happening in the spirit, man. You had the pink moon for the Passover. The Passover was on a full moon. Okay, then you got the pink moon. You see, this is heavy, man. It's a lot going on. Okay, so let's go into here to some prophecy, man. Um, got a few clips I want to get into. Let's go to this one first. And I was like, when I heard this one, I said, "Damn, here we go." And I say he's tacky, and Esau is so predictable, man. Okay, well, just listen to this, man. This is from Dabu. So you got potential hijacking incidents. All right, 2 flights grounded, isolated after threats made by passengers. So let's listen to this.
Keeping track of the events happening across the country. Within the same day, we have 2 flights that have to be diverted because of disruptive passengers and bomb threats to those flights. The FBI responding in both situations. At first, there was an American Airlines that took off from New York to Chicago. It was diverted to Detroit after there was a potential hijacking incident involved. The same thing said for this newest event. This flight was going out of Columbus, and apparently it landed in Atlanta, where they're saying the passengers were forced to deplane on the tarmac, and the police were searching the whole plane, all the bags, because somebody was on the flight in the back threatening people. A Frontier flight F92539, saying that he had a bomb. He got in a fight with a lady and said he was going to blow up the plane, and this is what caused this incident. So the aircraft was immediately directed to isolation away from normal airport traffic. Emergency crews went to the area. You can see a picture of it here on the left, the Frontier flight. And they say that the aircraft stayed on the runway there for hours after landing as the feds were trying to go through and see what was going on. Apparently, a male subject in seat 3A was threatening to kill passengers. I will update with any other events or information connected to this, and I'm going to leave you guys here with some of the audio connected to this.
Frontier Flight 2539.
Frontier Flight 2539.
Okay, Frontier Flight 2539, have information about the level 3 threat, not level 4 threat, but level 3 threat. I'd like to relay.
Frontier 2539, White Tower, go ahead.
Say, black male, approximately 5'9", sitting in seat 3 Alpha. He's
You hear that? This is supposed to be the audio. All right. So they describe, all right, the man making, a threat, a bomb threat, okay, to another passenger. And let's listen, so-called audio.
Say, black male, approximately 5'9", sitting in seat 3 Alpha. He's in his seat. He's already threatened to kill the lady that's sitting next to him. And
A black male. Okay. A black male. Now Jake is making bomb threats on the on Frontier. You see? Come on, man. First you had the Jake with the property of Allah. He was supposed to did this shooting out in Texas. You had the property of Allah sweater, hoodie, whatever. Okay. Then you had Jake that did so-called did the shooting. Okay. I think it was in Oklahoma, and he was supposed to be ISIS. Okay. Jake with ISIS doing shooting in Oklahoma. Now you got Jake on the Frontier airplane with bomb threats, man. Okay? So just as the scriptures say, we not ignorant of this man's devices, man. We know what Esau is going with. We know who he's building the case for, man. Okay? Let's play this again, man. I'm gonna let it run through this time.
5'9", sitting in seat 3 Alpha. He's in his seat.
Go ahead.
Say, black male, approximately 5'9", sitting in seat 3 Alpha. He's in his seat. He's already threatened to kill the lady that's sitting next to him, and he's saying that he has a bomb on board, approximately 58 to 60 years old.
Understand, level 3, black male, 5'9", seat 3 Alpha. Threatening to kill the lady beside him, says he has a bomb on board. Any details on the bomb?
No details as of right now. This is as much information as we got. We're running our checklist. Once we find more information, we'll get back to you.
All right, we're going to move you to plan on Sierra Golf 6 shortly. And are you able to move at this time?
Yes, we are able to move at this time. We'll plan the Sierra Golf 6.
Lima, I'm going to start my Golf 6.
Come on, man. Okay, come on, man. All right, but this is the schemes of Esau, man, and we know who he's trying to build a case for. Okay, so you have that incident, which the scriptures say real quick. Let me get this. And I got another video I want to segue to, but let's go here. All right, because the devil, he's gearing up for his move. He got to go with all his moves, man. The Lord forcing the devil to put all his cards on the table, man. And just go all in. Okay, that's what prophecy is forcing Esau to do. See, Esau's not in a comfortable position. Okay, the scriptures say he will be wearied in his counsels and he will be in scrapes. Okay, so you go to Luke 21, all right, and 6. I'll jump to 17, get to the point. It says Luke 21 and 17, and ye shall be hated of all men. Matter of fact, I read 16 too, it tie into Luke 21 and 16. It says, matter of fact, let me just read all this little piece because it tie into the persecution, man. Okay. It says Luke 21 and 12. All right. It said, but before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Okay. And why are we going to be brought before, these kings and rulers, these higher ups? Okay. For what? His name's sake. So that they're going to demonize the name of Yahweh, the doctrine, the prophets, the ministry. They're going to push their propaganda. Okay, what you're gonna justify them picking some brothers up, man. All right, that's a part of it. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore. All right, settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer, man. Okay, because we're gonna be brought, all right, before certain politicians or congressmen or whatever, man. Okay, there's no telling who we might be before. All right, technocrats. Okay, hell, the least themselves, man, and they want a testimony, man. Okay, of what we believe, man. And the Lord said, don't even meditate on what to answer. As we probably gonna be in a holding cell or dungeon or whatever, no telling. All right, however they may have it. Okay, he said, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. Okay, so it's gonna be betrayal because as these devils, really push this propaganda. I say and the Lord, He gonna put us in front of these devils, and He's gonna give us a spirit, to confound their ass, man. They're not gonna have a rebuttal. It's going to be the spirit of the Lord, because the scriptures say how the spirit of the Lord is a pure influence from the Most High, man. So that spirit going to be intensified, man. It's going to be on a level we never felt it before, man. Because you can feel when the spirit get on you, probably mid lesson, a little ways in the lesson, the spirit really, get on you. But it's going to be on a whole nother level. It's going to be another level, of intensity in these moments, man. Okay, and the Lord gonna confound these devils, through His men, that's in this situation. Because every brother not gonna be in this situation. Some brothers gonna be on the run. Some brothers, it's gonna be different, man. You see, it says, "And you shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death." Okay, so when this devil really pushes this propaganda, man, a lot of people we know gonna flip. Betrayal is a part of it, man. Okay, that's why now we gotta be dead to this world, man. Okay, hey, we shouldn't have all these expectations for these people. We shouldn't have no expectation for these people, man. We can only have expectations in the Lord. Okay, that's the only thing that's guaranteed in this time, man. It's gonna be people around us that flip, man. Lord will we endure, man. It says, "And ye," just the point, "and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake." Okay, so how is this going to be possible, man? Because this look TikTok videos or whatever, that's small. That's a low level. Okay, Jake got something to say addressing the Hebrew Israelites 10 questions for the, that little silly shit that Jake be on. It's gonna be on a whole nother level. It's gonna be a hatred on a whole nother level, man. Okay? These devils are gonna push their propaganda, man. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be a lot of hatred for the prophets, man. Okay, because this world hates Yahushua. And as we represent Yahushua, we're gonna get that hatred, man. Okay, and real quick, go to St. John. Matter of fact, go to St. John 7:7. All right, and we'll segue. You see, in St. John 7:7 said, "The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works thereof are evil." So this world hates Yahushua. All right, and as we're conforming to Yahushua, and as we speak the words of Yahushua, we're going to be hated by this world, man. Because all these people are divided. All right, but a lot of these people unify on one thing, and it's their hatred towards the truth, man. Towards Yahushua, because this world is anti-Messiah. Okay, and all these people that think they believe in the Bible, when the truth of the Bible comes out, man, people lose it, man. You see it on a small scale, on the highways and byways, man. Jake, Jake lose it. You get to bringing out precepts and the truth of the Bible, man, and people just start to, you see. So imagine on a massive scale when this devil really puts it on repeat in this propaganda machine, man. So persecution is a part of, prophecy that we got to endure, before this thing is said and done. Okay. So you go here. Now you got supposedly Iran, okay, has hacked, all right, the FBI, okay, the head of the FBI, which is Cash Patel. So now, okay, Iran has hacked, okay, the files of FBI head Cash Patel, and they're setting it up, man. It's going, and don't be surprised with a cyber attack, man. They keep staging it, man. The drones, the so-called drone strike, the FBI, and it's the FBI that gave, so-called gave a warning to LA about a drone strike from Iran. It was the FBI that gave the warning. Okay. So now, supposedly the FBI head Cash Patel, okay, his emails were leaked, okay, or hacked by Iran. Okay, which this absolutely makes no sense militarily, man. And one thing about Iran, is they don't do things that don't make sense. Okay, they don't do too many things that don't make sense. There's a few times you like, damn, how you let that happen? But but as far as when it comes to military strategy and doing things that affect the battlefield outcome, they really don't do silly shit like this. That ain't, you just been following these guys, and they don't do silly things like that. This has no effect of the battlefield outcome. Okay, but we know that these devils, all right, are just setting it up. They soften it up for them to do some type of cyber attack. Man, I believe, just speaking as a man, I believe these devils gearing up for some type of cyber attack, man. It's going to cause chaos and civil unrest, man. Okay, so we'll see, but we're just watching, So let's play this real quick, about 4 minutes.
As Trump pauses strikes and talks up diplomacy, is Iran's cyber arm now quietly striking at America's digital core instead of its bases? After attacks on Lockheed and Stryker, does the alleged hack of FBI Director Cash Patel's personal email show Iran-linked hackers are willing to go? New cyberfront already crept. While Trump insists talks are going very well, is Washington being humiliated on a new front where missiles are replaced by leaks and hacked inboxes? As Trump extends his Hormuz deadline yet again, Iran-linked hackers are striking at the heart of the U.S. security apparatus instead of ships or bases. On March 27th, the pro-Iran, pro-Palestinian group Handala claimed it had breached FBI Director Kash Patel's personal email account. The hackers then posted personal photos and documents online, crowning Patel as their latest high-profile target. The dump included images of Patel smoking cigars, riding in a convertible and posing with bottles of rum, clearly meant to embarrass him. A U.S. Justice Department official has confirmed his inbox was compromised and said the data appears authentic. The leaked cache is said to mix personal notes with work-related emails stretching from about 2010 to 2019. Handala calls itself a pro-Palestinian vigilante crew, but Western researchers trace it to Iranian cyber units like Void Manticore. Handala recently claimed a massive hit on U.S. medical tech giant Stryker, saying it wiped more than 200,000 systems and exfiltrated tens of terabytes of data. Cyber researchers see Handala as just one online persona fronting for Iranian state-backed cyber spies. Separate reports say top U.S. defense contractor Lockheed Martin has also been breached by pro-Iran hackers tied to the same ecosystem. The group claims to have accessed sensitive data on 28 senior Lockheed engineers working inside Israel. Those engineers were allegedly warned to leave Israel within 48 hours or face unspecified danger to their homes. Handala's statement urged Lockheed staff to halt all cooperation with Israel's military machine altogether. Even as these hacks land inside the U.S. homeland, Trump keeps insisting that talks with Iran are going very well. On March 27th, he extended Iran's Hormuz deadline by another 10 days, pushing it to April 6th. Trump says this extended pause on energy plant strikes came at Iran's own request during back-channel talks.
And that nigga lying. Okay, that nigga not talking to Iran. Okay, things are constantly escalating on the battlefield. Okay, ain't nobody talking to this nigga, man. Okay, and Trump's main thing is just to keep people distracted and talking, manipulate the markets. Okay, Trump ain't no strategist, man. Trump ain't running no military, man. Clown. Okay, he's a clown, man. Okay, JD Vance, clown. Okay, Pete Hegseth, triple clown. All right, and it takes Scott Ritter, to talk about Pete Hegseth, which I got a clip on that, right as I will get into, man. Okay, these clowns ain't running no military, man. Okay, they just here to keep you, all right, distracted. Okay, as the elites, as the elites, all right, shut down this global economy, man. Okay, and get ready to usher in, okay, this sea hip. So let's play this.
Donald Trump said, and I quote, "As per Iranian government request, please let this statement serve to represent that I am pausing the period of energy plant destruction by 10 days to Monday, April 6th, 2026, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Talks are ongoing, and despite erroneous statements to the contrary by the fake news media and others, they are going very well." Unquote. Iran, however, has publicly denied seeking talks with Trump and continues to strike U.S. allies and assets across the Middle East, even as the cyber front opens at home.
So, yeah, because Iran, hacking group, supposed to handle a lot. What they saying, I'm saying it right. They supposed to, hack the Stryker, medical files, and now they tapped into the FBI. All right, head Kash Patel, his emails. Okay, so they're setting it up, man. They're softening it up for something, man. Okay, because we know how these devils get down. All right, but at the end of the day, the will of the Lord gonna prevail. He dealt with all this wickedness, that you got going on. He's finna lose, man. Nigga just getting ready to lose, man. Okay, you can't delay the inevitable, man. All right, the Most High is not dealing with this nigga. Okay, and the Lord is getting ready to usher in the kingdom of Yahushua. Okay, so all these little schemes and in fact, let's go here real quick to Psalms, and then we'll segue into something else. All right, well, you go here to Psalms. Okay. Look at this in NLT, Psalms 2, start at 1. All right. It said, why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? All right. Because these elites and these other nations, all right, that's in cahoots with this nigga. Okay. They all have futile plans because all these nations have New World Order ambition. Okay. But the Lord is going to, all right, uh, the Lord is pulling these nations into a war, into an actual war, you know. It started off as, an event to do a global reset, but it's turning into the war that the prophecies speak about. You see, it's transitioning into that actual war that's written of in prophecy, man. Okay, so all these plans of all these nations, beginning with Esau, Edom, who's at the head, they're futile, they're empty, they're pointless, man. Okay, you see, he's just going through the motion before his destruction, man. It said the kings of the earth prepare for battle, the rulers plot together against the Lord and against his anointed one. You see? So these devils, all right, and these other heathens, these Edomites and these heathens, okay, they all have, New World Order ambition to undermine the Most High with this New World Order with technocracy, man. This is a rebellion, okay, and that's why these other nations are going to serve 1,000 years of captivity with Esau, man, okay. The difference is Esau, he's the one nation that's going to be done away with after the captivity, okay, because he will not be needed, man. His purpose is served, okay. He has taught us everything not to do and how not to be in rulership, man. Okay? And this nigga rulership is noted. Okay? It said, let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from the slavery to the Most High. Because he's doing all this to try to attempt to pull off his New World Order, man. Which he thinks that he's going to be able to break free from the will of the Heavenly Father and do his own thing. And he's going to be the Most High on the earth. Okay, via technology, man. Okay, verse 4, but the one who rules in heavens laugh, the Lord scoffs at them, man. Yes, this is a joke to the Most High. All right, and this is humor to the Heavenly Father of what these devils trying to do, man, because it's pride. All right, and then these devils delusional, man. To try to pull this off, this delusional, man. Because he's so far from the mark. Okay, of him wanting to be the Most High, he's so far from the mark, man. Okay, what it takes to be there, he doesn't have it in him. Okay, to even attempt it. You see, to achieve that, because he's going to attempt it. Let me word it right. He doesn't have it in him to achieve that. Okay, he's limited. Okay, like I say, he's trying to replace unlimited power. Okay, he's trying to place a power that doesn't have limitations. Okay, with himself, which he has limitations, man. His technology, his military has limitations, man. Okay, but he's gonna get to the point where the Lord, all right, is just gonna make a move on this nigga and get Esau out of there, man. Move this nigga off stage, man. Psalms 2 and 5 said, then in his anger, he rebukes them, terrifying them with his fierce fury. For the Lord declares, I have placed my chosen king on the throne in Jerusalem, on my holy mountain, which is Yahushua, man. Because that's how this thing is, man. But the Heavenly Father placing his king, all right, his son, Yahushua, on the throne. Okay, so let's go here real quick. All right, because I thought this was pretty interesting. Let's go here. Okay. So now you have all right. So you have Russia, all right, most feared warlord Ramzan, all right, Kadyrov wants in on Iran war. Okay, so you have a portion of Russian, these war hardened Russians, all right, that are that are Islamic. Okay, and they want to get it in, all right, on the side of Iran. to fight Americans, man. See, these nations is biting at the chump to fight at you Americans, man, as they see, all right, that, hey, you're not invincible. America, you're not invincible, man. You know, and now you got nations, hey, I want in. You know, you got nations that want to get down. Because that's the spirit in the earth is the spirit of war. Okay, that's the spirit in the earth, which is the spirit of war, man. Okay, the mighty men are being awakened. So let's play this. Play a little bit of this.
Ramzan Kadyrov's Chechen fighters are reportedly ready to deploy to Iran, and they're not calling it a military operation. They're calling it jihad. Ukraine has hundreds of experts helping Gulf states fight Iranian drones. Russia's most feared warlord wants to answer in kind. The Iran war just pulled in 2 more players, and neither one was invited by Tehran. Reports from Iranian media suggest that Chechen military units aligned with Ramzan Kadyrov have signaled readiness to deploy to Iran in the event of a US ground invasion, adding a new and potentially volatile dimension to the widening conflict. According to these reports, the forces loyal to Kadyrov and linked to Russia's Chechen Republic have characterized the ongoing confrontation involving the United States and Israel as a religiously framed conflict. Described any potential intervention on their part as a form of jihad, portraying it as a defense of Iran against Western and allied military action. However, there has been no independent confirmation from Moscow or official Russian channels regarding any planned deployment. The developments come amid intensifying hostilities between Iran, the United States, and Israel. Iranian sources claim that Washington, under Donald Trump, is considering expanding operations beyond aerial strikes, potentially towards a ground offensive. Iranian media have also framed the origins of the conflict in stark terms, alleging that the war began on February 28th during nuclear negotiations between Tehran and Washington. The war was launched on February 28th in the middle of indirect nuclear talks between Tehran and Washington, with the assassination of the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, some top-ranking commanders, and ordinary civilians, including over 170 schoolchildren in southern Iran's Menab. In response, Iranian armed forces have so far carried out 86 waves of missile and drone strikes against Israeli military and strategic facilities, as well as US bases and assets across the Persian Gulf region. Pertinently, the presence of Ukrainian forces openly supporting the US and Israel in the war against the Islamic Republic of Iran is also significant. Their involvement is widely seen as a warning to Russia regarding the broader trajectory of the war, potentially linking its fate to the protracted war between Moscow and Kiev.
So you see how all these conflicts are connected, because you got Zelensky, you know, he's supposed to come to, all right, these Arab states, all right, these Gulf, these GCC states, all right, these GCC countries, okay, which are nothing but artificial states of America, okay, but he's supposed to be the drone expert, okay, so they wouldn't got a loser, okay, when he's not going to change anything, all right, but the fact that he brought his ass down here, okay, has, you know, caused, all right, these these Russian paramilitary, all right, what do you call it, the Chechen, okay, paramilitary group, which are these Russian, all right, Islamic, all right, fighters, okay, these hardened, they built for these ground wars, okay, they built for these ground wars in their region, okay. So man, boots on the ground for America, man, that's gonna be a slaughter. Just with Iran with no help alone, you know, in the ground war with America, slaughterhouse. Okay, and you get these crazy niggas here in, into the mix. All right, these Chechens, man. Okay, double slaughter, man. You see, and these are just rumors. Nothing has been confirmed. All right, but what these nations do, they just throw things out there, you know, and they throw little things out there, man. But these nations on deck. That's the spirit. That's the prophecy. Say, hey, prepare you the mighty men. Okay, the warriors of the world being activated, man. The mighty men of the world are being activated for war, man, through prophecy, man. Okay, so we're gonna see how this goes, man. You see, so let's play a little bit more of this, and then we'll segue.
Volodymyr Zelensky has been willing to assist Arab nations in countering Iranian drone capabilities, a move that has added a new layer to the evolving conflict dynamics.
Yeah, getting Zelensky is like getting a coach in the NBA that went 0-82. Okay, and you go get this nigga to be, all right, your new coach. This nigga went 0-82 for the last 3 years. Would you go get this nigga? You know?
Iran has amplified these concerns at the international level. Amir Syed Iravani, Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, stated in a letter to the UN leadership that Ukraine is playing a direct role in the conflict.
Ukraine's admission that it has dispatched hundreds of experts to the region, apparently to help some Persian Gulf governments to confront Iran, is in its essence considered to be providing financial and operational support for an unlawful military aggression led by the United States of America and the Israeli regime against Iran.
The situation reflects an increasingly complex and interconnected conflict landscape where narratives, alliances, and accusations are rapidly evolving. Iranian media present these developments as evidence of a widening coalition against Tehran. As tensions continue to rise, the possibility of additional actors entering the conflict, whether directly or indirectly, adds further uncertainty to an already volatile regional crisis.
Yeah, so these things show no sign of de-escalating, man, only escalate. You know? So this is the beginning of, all right, a world war. We're in the beginning of a world war. This is how world wars start. We might have a nation come in this month, 3 months later, 2 more nations come in. You know, a week later, this nation come in. 6 months on down the line, this nation come in. Okay, and this thing, you know, you got 7, 8, 9 different fronts being fought in the war. It's a world war. Okay, so this is the beginning of a world war. It went regional quick, and then it had global. All right, you know, the stakes went global with this energy. Okay, even quicker, man. So, yeah, man, the Lord doing a lot out here, man. The Lord got prophecy full throttle, man. Okay, and these elites in the mix, they got because the elites are playing the chess game within the chess game. You see, they're playing, you know, their chess game with this new world order, but they within the chess game of the Most High. You see, they're moving pieces on their board, but the Most High is moving them on His board. Okay, it's beautiful how the Lord got this thing playing out. All right, so let's go from there. Let's get this real quick. All right, you can tell y'all got Scott mad, man. You know, Scott really been going crazy these last couple of weeks, man. You know, he you can tell he tired of America. He tired of these small hats. All right, he tired of all you niggas, man. Okay, so let's play a little bit of this.
Or evaluate this Pete Hegseth planned war.
I mean, I hate to laugh because so many people have died. It's murder. It's war. I mean, let's get just dead serious right off the bat. It's a war crime. The United States is a nation that is committing, you know, the most egregious of war crimes, a war of aggression. This was a war of choice. There was no imminent threat from Iran. In fact, what had been articulated as an imminent threat by the United States, Iran's nuclear program, was being resolved diplomatically. And that when the United States and Israel carried out their surprise attack, when the Japanese bombed us, it was called the Day of Infamy. Imagine what the Iranians call it, but it was perfidy. Literally, we were operating under a flag of truce, and then we attacked the Iranians. So we are a war criminal state, and Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. And we have to start out by this because evaluating everything that follows from this. America, wake up. Our government is committing crimes in your name, our name. We are a war criminal nation. So now let's take a look at this. Some people would say, well, the ends justify the means. I mean, if we get rid of the Iranian state and we can secure Middle East oil and all this stuff what's international law? We've been breaking it. What the hell? We invaded and occupied Iraq back in 2003. Spent better part of a decade doing that. And nobody, thousands of Americans died, but nobody cares. For all you people out there that care about I just despise these people. We support the troops. Really? Do you really support the troops? You've never supported them because you haven't gone to the VA and changed the colostomy bag of a guy that got his guts blown out. You haven't held the hand of a wife or a daughter has to sit there and stare at her husband or father drool into a cup because his brain has been addled by a roadside bomb. Nobody cares about the American troops. We like them when they're good looking and in uniform. Girls are like, hey, I'd like to date that guy. Really? You'd like to date that guy? Why? Because he looks good in uniform? But what happens when he comes back in a wheelchair or a basket case, or he comes back with a drinking problem or a drug addiction because of the pain that was inflicted on his body or the psychosis in his mind? Do you love him then? No, you walk away. Then you leave him abandoned. Now his guts are torn out and his heart's torn out. No, America sucks as a nation. We don't support our troops at all. And so, we're talking about sending people off to fight and die in a war to achieve what? Pete Hegseth said this was because we're going to remove the regime in Iran. 47 years, those people have been tormenting America. Really? I think it's America that's been tormenting them. Iran hasn't sanctioned us. We've been sanctioning them. Iran hasn't assassinated our nuclear scientists. We've been assassinating theirs. I mean, America, this is the stupidity of the American people is beyond belief, buying into this notion. We're going to get rid of the Ayatollah and suddenly the regime is going to collapse. And in the process of collapsing, we'll get them to agree to get rid of their missiles because that's the other stated objective, to stop Iran from launching missiles and drones. Well, the regime didn't collapse. We killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The regime is there now. His son is now the Ayatollah. Yeah, we got rid of the one Ayatollah that said it was against the law to produce nuclear weapons, and we replaced it with another Ayatollah that said, who knows? Maybe we'll have to reconsider this because you guys attacked us. Nuclear armed nations attacking us when we're supposed to be perfected from this attack by the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It says when you sign the treaty and you've entered a safeguards agreement, you're sort of immune from this sort of thing. But nope, here comes the United States and Israel because we don't care about international law, bombing Iran. We didn't collapse the regime. We made them stronger. So, Pete, you lost. If your job was to collapse the regime, they're there. They're winning. You're losing. Now, what about those missiles, Pete? How'd that happen? Well, I don't know. Ask the Gulf Arab nations get bombarded everything. Ask yourself, Pete. Where's the classified report on the battle damage assessment done to the U.S. bases in the region? They're being wiped off the map, Pete. That's on you, pal. And what about Israel, our ally? They're getting slammed every single day. That's on you, Pete. You haven't won anything. We have lost this war. We're losing it now, and we've lost it badly because now the unintended consequences, when I say unintended, they were knowable. Everybody knew it. The global energy crisis that's taking place right now. That's Donald Trump's crisis. He did it. Pete Hegseth did it. These war criminals have now also committed, economic crimes against the world. How'd you like to be Japan, thinking America's your ally, South Korea, America's your ally, and suddenly wake up one morning, not only to find out that your energy prices are going through, you're going to have to start South Korea rationing gas because they don't have any. They got it all from the Middle East, and it ain't flowing right now. But it's not just that. We took away all their air defense and sent off to the Middle East because oh, yeah, our air defense sucks. We don't know how to defend against missiles. So not only did we not knock them out, we can't shoot them down. The Iranians have free reign to strike wherever they want, whenever they want, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. We lost this war.
What?
Scott sick of this shit, man. Scott been on a warpath since last month, man. I don't know what triggered him because I say he had kind of got soft for America, man, but he, and we know this is bigger than Trump and Pete Hegseth, man. These are the elites pushing these people to try to go execute this new world order, man. Okay, and things are starting to backfire. All right, but the Lord still left them an avenue to be able to attempt to pull off this new world order by closing the economy, man. You know, closing the global economy. Okay, but in the midst, man, these nations are looking at America and blaming America for everything that's going wrong, man. Okay, because like I said, these nations got agreements with, all right, these devils for this new world order, but there's a certain plan that's supposed to win, and you can tell that some ain't happening like it's supposed to win, man. Okay, you see. So what these devils are having to do, man, is trying to make, all right, the best out this shit show, man. Okay. So it's interesting, man. But you can tell, hey, Scott, and he hate, and you can tell he's frustrated with you, dumb, stupid Americans, man. Okay, that you don't know what's going on. Everybody wants to be this expert, and you Americans don't know what the hell going on. Okay, you don't know nothing. Everybody got an opinion and what they thinking. Okay, and you Americans think that okay, well, they went to war and they didn't get approval by Congress, but if we can get control of the Iranian oil, nigga, that's not yours. All the stuff that y'all steal over the earth, that's not yours. And you Americans, you don't benefit from it. Okay, the only people that's getting richer are these elites and they're and the super rich underlings, man. Okay, they're flunkies. Okay, you people act like you get some type of dividend check when the American military go steal for the elites, man. They're going to steal for the elites. Okay, well, just because you're an American, it feels good that you got this military that's just going around bully and terrorizing the earth, man. Well, guess what, man? The bully being stopped, and it only get worse for the bully, man. The bully finna get bullied, man. And then when your Howard shot come, man, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit more, man. Let's play this, man.
Marco and many others yesterday, they are very real. They are ongoing. They're active, and I think gaining strength. And we appreciate that. As I said in my remarks, we would much prefer to get a deal. If Iran was willing to relinquish material they have and ambitions they have, open this, great. That's the goal. We don't want to have to do more militarily than we have to. But I didn't mean it flippantly when I said, in the meantime, we'll negotiate with bombs. Our job is to ensure that we compel Iran to realize that this new regime, this regime in charge, is in a better place if they make that deal. And so we'll continue. We're working hand in hand, but the primary effort is a deal. We want that deal to be accomplished if at all possible. If not, then we're prepared to continue.
A headline in the Wall Street Journal saying Trump willing to give up on the Strait of Hormuz.
It's like, give up. Your ass has been kicked. And Pete, screw you, you lying sack of manure. I mean, this guy is pathetic. A deal? There is no deal, Pete. You lost the war. Our negotiating is bombing. What the hell have you been doing for the past several weeks, Pete? You used all of your precision-guided munitions. You got nothing left, Pete. Nothing. You blew it all. You shot your wad, buddy. And what'd you do? Squat. The Iranians are still there, and now you got to come in with what? Conventional bombs, gravity bombs? Because that's all you got left. Hey, Pete, you might want to pick up a history book. You know, we spent a couple years bombing the crap out of Nazi Germany. You know, didn't work, pal. Didn't break their spirit. Did the same thing to the Japanese. Bombed their cities. Committed war crimes. Dresden, the firebombing of Tokyo. You want to firebomb Tehran? Do it. They're ready for you now, Pete, because Iran doesn't care. They recognize you for what you are, a lying war criminal. They're not going to negotiate with you, and they're not going to negotiate with Donald Trump, another lying war criminal. This is the problem when the United States operates the way it has, arrogantly and ignorantly. We are liars. There's no credibility. There's no reason for anybody in the world to believe us. Hell, Europe doesn't even believe us anymore. Italy just said, pound sand, you can't use our base. America's like, what? I thought we could use those bases. Hey, good planning, Pete. You never thought about your European allies, did you? You might want to check that box off, saying secure European support before going to war with Iran, where we require European support. Now, Spain, I'm just telling you, when I flew out to the Gulf War, landed in Spain, going there, landed in Spain, going back. Because Spain's an important intermediary stop. Not anymore. Sigonella, Italy. Nope, can't use that anyway. Brindisi, no, it's all gone. You didn't secure the European support before engaging in your illegal war of aggression. And now Europe's telling you to pound sand, and you got your feelings hurt, Pete. You and Marco Rubio are like, oh, NATO didn't come to our assistance. NATO isn't going to participate in your illegal war of aggression, especially the one that is crushing their economies right now, and you failed to coordinate with them. I mean, this is literally, we're talking about the most mature, criminal-minded idiots in the world. At least Dick Cheney wasn't incompetent.
I can see.
Man, my boy Scott gonna blow a blood vessel talking about you niggas, man. You know, because at the end of the day, man, the elites got their agendas, man, but the Lord said he was gonna make these people foolish, man. You know, according to prophecy, the Lord said he was gonna make these people foolish, man. The elites are capable of making mistakes, okay, and their flunkies are for damn sure capable of making mistakes, man. These ain't just no, all right, prolific, you know, there's great niggas out here, man. Okay, the Lord allowed this nigga to tap into Satan. Lord gave this nigga this sword, this technology, and he's been winning. But now it's time for him to lose, man. And the Lord said that he was going to put a foolish spirit on this nigga, man. Okay, because the Lord finna embarrass Esau, man. Esau not going to go out in glory. Esau finna go out embarrassing, man. Okay, so let's go here. You know, he got that one avenue. The Lord left this nigga one avenue, and that's to come on with this sea hill, man. Come on with the civil unrest, persecute the prophets. Okay, like come on with your playbook, man. We know your playbook. You know what cards you got in your hand. Put your cards on the table, man. Go all in with your chips, man. Okay? Stop pity patting around, nigga. This is Jeremiah. Oh, my bad. Let's go here to Jeremiah. You know, and these devils just proud. Okay, let's go here, Jeremiah 49. And 7 says, concerning Edom, thus said the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in teaming? Okay, because all this military hardware that they got comes from these Teamanites, you know, even this nuclear, okay, capability come from them Teamanites, man. You know, when you go into the nuclear physics and the science behind the nuclear bomb and the rocket technology to project, all right, these warheads, it all come from these Teamanite engineers. You know, you go to Operation Paperclip, and then Russia had their version of Operation Paperclip, where America and the USSR, you know, they went and kidnapped a bunch, you know, thousands of these German engineers and scientists, man. You know, I believe America got like, you know, over 1,500. Russia got like over 2,200, you know, when you look into it. Okay, it was these Teamanites, these German scientists, man. And that's why Germany was so far ahead of all these European nations, you know, because they had to gang up on Germany, you know, in both wars. Because Germany, you know, was dominating, man. They had them engineers, man. You know, them goddamn Teamanites was hell. They gave Europe hell, World War One and World War Two, man. You know, which, you know, like I said, the least always in the background doing their thing. Okay, well, when you got war, man, hey, the generals be out there getting active, man, making moves. Okay, now the elites got their agenda in World War One and World War Two. It benefited their, all right, their agenda. See, but this third world war is not going to benefit their agenda. Okay, this third world war is going to close these niggas out. This is where the Most High close out you niggas tab, man. Okay, this is where the Most High close out the tab of the elites is in this war, man. Okay, all the way up to Yahweh Shah, because Yahweh Shah is going to come pick up that check. Okay, for all you heathens, man. It say, concerning Edom, thus said the Lord of hosts, is there no more wisdom in teaming? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Okay, and you know, like I say, the least got they plan, man. But America is winging this shit, man. They didn't expect this war to go like this and go this long, man. They came off their high from Venezuela, you know, and they sailed straight from Venezuela to Iran. They were feeling themselves out the little Maduro thing. Okay, and they around there playing, and You see, they made they move, okay, on the 28th, and then the Most High hyped them niggas up, man, because you had 6 planets aligned on the night of the 28th. It was a 6 planet alignment. You know them niggas love the number 6, man. Okay? You know them niggas all into their astrology, and you see? But then now their left hand wisdom is working against you, man. Now you're getting bad advice from their left hand wisdom, their left hand counsel, man. Okay, it was a time when you was generations ahead. You was getting amazing advice from the left hand, man. But now the Lord finna break you down. The same thing that brought you up, the same tools and mechanism that brought you up, which was, all right, witchcraft, military, okay? It's the same thing that's finna break you down, man. Okay? So y'all leave it there. You know, that's the point. All right. So Lord will, you know, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples of which other brothers, and peace and blessing salutations, hopefully, shalom.